Hi everyone, my name is Phil and welcome to Phil Does 3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream on Twitch weekdays from 5 p.m. Pacific time in the United States, 10 a.m. in Australia and 1 a.m. in the UK. Hope you guys are well. Again, my apologies for yesterday afternoon. Right towards the end of the stream kept going but my chat dropped out, so I couldn't read any messages just for the last few minutes of the stream. That's because I have two internet connections, one that I stream on and one that I can connect to with my chat client. So the one that I connect to with my chat client dropped out, but the stream kept going, so that was the important thing, and it was right at the end, so not a big deal. We are working on an Art Deco building in the Unreal Engine 4.17.1. We're going to be creating a cinematic fly-through using the Unreal Engine of the building and an environment. I won't play the video for the environment. We might just start to jump straight into what we were doing, but this is the building we have brought into Unreal, and this is the building interior, which is what we're working on at the moment in Unreal. Now again, I won't turn real time on here because OBS really hates real time here in Unreal. It drops frames. But we do have physics assets like our hanging lights and things. They'll all be swaying in the breeze. We're going to have some plants in here that'll be moving as well. And of course, our environment completely moves. Everything is wind animated. All the trees and grass move and all that sort of goodness. So we have a lot going on here in the environment. I did want to correct something. I may wait to see if a canoe pops back into the stream today. We were talking about a post-process volume and a light mass volume. I was confused. I said you needed the post-process. You don't need the post-process, but you should have one. But the light mass importance volume you definitely do need. Canoe, good to see you. Yeah, sorry about yesterday afternoon. I was confused. You don't need the post-process volume, but you do need the light mass importance volume. So do make sure that you have a light mass importance volume set up around your scene, your environment. The post-process volume is really up to you. It's good to have it in there though, because it does give you a lot of options, and I use it because I do custom LUT color correction, LUT, in the engine. You have that in the scene? Oh, cool. Okay, good. That's the most important thing, the light mass importance volume. Again though, post-process volume can be really handy to have because, as I said, I use it for a LUT color correction to change the colors in the engine, amongst other things. I'm also going to be using it when I start doing the cinematics, set the cameras up and all that sort of stuff, but you don't need one. It's good to have one. That's a post-process volume, by the way, but it's up to you. So we have our environment here. I might just go full screen on this so we can get a bit better of a look at what's going on here. So what we've been doing is we've been working our way from the front of the building toward the back. We'll do the furniture at the very end. So at this stage, we're just working on the main assets for the walls and windows and that type of thing. Once we've done that, we will bring in furniture and plants and all that sort of goodness. Josen, thank you for the follow. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Thank you for following my Twitch channel. This wrought iron gate will be open. Now, let's just explain what's going on here for people that may be new to the channel. This fog is way too high. You see when I turn my camera, I get this haze happening. Now that's because I need to adjust my fog values. I will be doing that, but I won't do that until the end when we do a final pass over the environment out here. My FPS just dropped down. OBS really hates UE4. Yeah, so at the end, once we've got our interior done, we'll do a final pass for the fog value and knock it back. I also want to turn on the new fog in Unreal. I think they're calling it exponential fog or something. It looks really good, but I don't have that switched on yet. Again, we'll do that at the end. We'll just go through our building here though, and I'll keep an eye on OBS. We still do have to do some adjustments for our lighting, but at this stage we're just working on the interior assets. Well, let's get out of that chandelier. So this is our main room where our camera will fly up into. We have the second room through here which we just need to finish doing a bit of work on this window box. We'll do that today probably. I'd like to get this section done so that we can continue moving on to the back of the building. We have our main room, like I said, through here. And yesterday we were working on this hall section. Again, I'm still, I was saying yesterday, guys, that I want to get this project finished. So I probably wasn't going to do this window skylight, but I probably will. I was thinking about it all last night, and even though, like I said, I do want to get the project done so we can move on to something else, I just can't help myself. But we'll tackle that a little bit later. I think, let's just jump out of full screen. I think at this stage what we'll do is we will tackle this window box here in the front so that we can get that done. Now again, I was saying these walls are way too clean. Nothing is ever that clean. And to get anything to look realistic, you've always got to add a bit of dirt and wear and dust and all that type of thing. So we'll do that today. And I also want to bring in a leather cushion, I guess you'd call, large cushion for the base here, because this is like a window box you'll sit in. We'll place a couple of cushions in there, and we will do that today probably, because even though I want to do the furniture and the interior assets last, I think we'll just get this window box done and then we can move on to the rest of the building. So let's jump into Max here. This is the window box. What I've done is I've removed it from the actual building, a copy of it, and moved it over to the side so I could create my leather seat, which is this thing here. Let me just select it so that Max has something to lock onto. So we have this leather seating through here. I'm going to be taking the side pieces into Substance Painter now to texture them up in that cherry wood. And we're also going to take the actual frame of the interior window box into Substance Painter to texture it up to make it look a bit dirtier. So let's start with the window seat, I think. I'm just going to isolate that. I'm going to ungroup it. And let's export this seat border so we can take it into Substance Painter. We're not going to get too nuts with painting these objects up in Substance Painter, like I said, because I really want to get this project finished within the next 4 weeks. So we've got a bay window subfolder here so I can keep everything organized. We're going to export it as seat border. Just getting back to what Kanu was asking about his interior looking really dark. I do recall, like I said, I recall looking through the docs on UE4. There is a setting that you can increase that will lighten up those interior dark spaces. I can't remember for the life of me what it was now, but there is certainly a setting. But what it's going to do is it's going to increase your render time quite substantially every time you increase this value. We can certainly look for it a little bit later on online if you like. But yeah, generally what it defaults to is pretty good. It's a good compromise between a fast lighting build and a good looking interior, as opposed to a slightly better looking interior but double or triple the build time. Unreal builds its lighting pretty quickly, so don't get me wrong, it's pretty good. Anyway, let's jump into Substance and create a new project. And let's load up that seat border we just exported. Alright. Again, I've just softened the edges here because, again, you guys know I hate a hard edge on anything. It doesn't look natural. So just chamfer the edges to make it look soft. And we're just going to apply cherry wood and just do a bit of distressing around the edges to make it look a bit worn. But like I said, I'm going to do it pretty quickly because I want to get through the project. So I do have a smart material already created for my cherry wood so that my colours all match throughout the building. So I did some colour adjustment on the original material, substance. So let's find that. This one here. Okay, I'm just going to remove the bottom layer because it's blank and we're not using it. Now, I do have a mask on this, and the mask, what the mask is doing is just adding this distressing to the wood itself to make it look worn and old. I don't know if you can see that on stream, but that distressed colouring we've got going on throughout the wood. And that's just to make it look a bit worn and old because the building is a 1920s building, so we don't want it to look too new. The only other thing that's concerning me here is what do they call it? The fibre of the wood is running in the wrong direction here. Now, we're not probably going to see it because the seat covers up most of this, but it's not correct. So it's correct on the two front pieces, but these three back sides, the wood is running in the wrong direction. And that's happening because of my UV mapping. So what I may do just really quickly is jump back into Max and just correct those UVs. So again, as I said, if we look at the actual asset, you're really not going to see it. Most of it is being covered up by that seat. But it's not correct. It's not the right way to be working, so let's fix it. I'm just going to collapse my stack here. I do remember, guys, if you've got any questions or anything you're not sure about, feel free to pop into chat and ask me. If I can help, I'm happy to try. A bit of background on me for anyone new to the channel. I work in ArchViz now. I've worked in games development in the past. I've done film work in the past. I've been in 3D for more than 10 years now. Probably going closer to 15 now, actually. Geez, that makes me feel old. So if you've got a question about 3D or anything you're not sure about, please feel free to pop into chat and ask me. If I can help, I'm happy to try. I don't know everything, but I'll give it a go. If you just want to pop in and say hello, that's always welcome. But if you just want to watch, that's completely fine. Anyway, let's try and unwrap on this and check out what's going on with AUVs. Alright. Now the problem here is that the UVs are running in the wrong direction. That's why our hey, a flicker from beyond, good to see you. Thanks for popping in, saying hi. Hope you're well. Yeah, the reason our UVs here in Substance are running the wrong, the texture is running the wrong way is because our UVs are rotated around. So to fix that, we're just going to find where those UVs are. Alright, basically it's going to be all the ones that are running vertically instead of horizontally. So, what's the best way for us to tackle this? I think, let's just undo that. Make sure I select the entire object here, otherwise Max will have problems moving things around. I'm just moving them outside of the 0 to 1 space here so I can rotate them. Alright, let's do a 90-degree rotation. Okay, let's select them all. And in our tools menu, Max has a pack UVs option. We'll use that, but we won't rotate the clusters because we want them to stay in the same orientation. And now they should all be good, so let's just re-export this object one more time. And jump back into Substance Painter, and in Substance, with the new version of Substance, you can actually reload an object already loaded up. It's it's in the newer versions of the program, and now we have our UVs all running in the right direction. Like I said, it wasn't that important. We weren't going to see it, but it wasn't a good way to work. It wasn't the correct way to be working. So let's just go in here now and just add a bit of wearing along the edges here. I'm just going to jump into my my alpha map here. And let's grab a brush. Again, I really like these dirt brushes that are built into Substance. They work really well for doing this sort of edge wear. Now you can do this with a generator as opposed to doing it by hand like I'm going to. I try and avoid using the generator simply because it tends to make everything start looking the same, and I like to have a bit more control over where my edge wear goes. I'm only going to wear it here and there, not all the way along, just in spots, because the wear pattern we've got going on is adding a lot of wear to it anyway. So I'm mainly just concerned with some of these edges. I'm only going to do the front edge because this back edge is going to be right up against the wall. Hence it wouldn't really get much wearing on it anyway. But these front edges certainly will. Okay, that should do. Hey Crosswind! I'm working on that Art Deco building, but I'm doing the bay window, the seat. So we have our bay window in here. And I'm just going to be finishing the texturing on that window today for our Art Deco cinematic in the Unreal Engine. This is the actual piece that goes around the seat. So yes, good to see you. All right, that'll probably do. Like I said, I don't want to take too much time here because I really want to get this project done. And if I don't speed things along, I'm going to be here for another 6 months. Because I want to move on to showing you guys photogrammetry and all that sort of stuff in the next project, and before it hits Christmas time. So let's export this. We'll save the project first. Actually, yeah, we'll save it. Just in case we want to come back and make any changes, you never know. Never say never. Let's export the texture. Let's select our folder. I'll export it as a 2K texture. It's only one texture, so one draw call. Alright. Now let's jump back into Max. We have it textured up. I have that sort of, the actual leather seat is already textured up, so I'm going to attach these both together now. Do I want to do that? Yeah, I want to do that. Okay. Now we'll export it as bay window seat. Actually, just before I do that export, I always forget to do this. I'm going to make sure my pivot point is in the middle of the object. It'll just make it easy for me to move then. And I'm also going to make sure I do a reset on the X form. I've just noticed sometimes if you don't do that when you bring something from Max into Unreal, the scale can be really weird. Alright, now we can export it. It dropped my name for some reason. Maybe it's because I'm working in edit mesh mode instead of edit poly. Bay window seat. Let's import that into Unreal now. I'm putting it in my effects folder temporarily, because if I import it directly into my building models folder, I have so many objects in here, it's going to be hard for me to find it quickly. So I temporarily put it in another subfolder which only has a few objects in it, so it's easy for me to find stuff. And then I'll move it later on. Bay window seat, that's all we want. Just looking through my settings here. That should be alright. I'm not sure why it's complaining about a bind pose that doesn't have bones, so I'm just waiting for the key shaders here to recompile before we change out our materials. There we go. Let's have a look here. Seat border, let's fix that up, because that's the one we textured up just now in Substance Painter. So let's import our textures. So we want the color, the metallic, the normal, and the roughness. Let's pull them into our shader. We can get rid of this parameter, it's just a plain color. Let's hook them up. Color, metallic, normal, and roughness. Apply. And we'll save it. Okay, let's work on the leather for the seat now, that shader. Again, I've got to import my texture maps. We already have the color imported, so we want the, I'll take the ambient occlusion. I may use it, I may not. The normal. I'm not going to be using the height value. I save it out just in case I do decide to do any parallax mapping on all my textures. If I don't use it, it doesn't matter. It means I've got it there if I need it. The convexity can be used sometimes as a metallic. We'll pull it in and we'll see whether we can use it. Again, these textures have been created in Knald, K-N-A-L-D, which is why they're named slightly differently from the ones that we export from Substance Painter, just to make that a little bit clearer. So this texture on the seat, the leather seat, wasn't something I created in Substance Painter. It was something I created by hand in Photoshop, and then used Knald, which is this piece of software here, to create the normal maps and ambient occlusion, all that sort of stuff. So let's see what we've got here. We won't hook up the convexity at the moment, but I will hook up the normal map and the ambient occlusion. And we'll take a look at our shader once it's compiled here. Taking it a while. There we go. Let's just zoom in a bit here so we can see it a bit more clearly. What I'm basically looking at here is the reflection, the shininess of the leather, to make sure it's not too shiny or not too dull. It's supposed to be worn leather, so it's not going to be super shiny. It may not be too bad. We probably won't use that, but I'll leave it there just in case. The convexity map, that is. Hey kids. What was the software I just mentioned for doing the normal and ambient occlusion? It was a piece of software called Knald. So it's this software here, K-N-A-L-D. It's great software. I use it all the time when I need to do ambient occlusion and normal maps. So this is the software here itself. Basically, it allows you to pull in your color map like you do with most of these sort of pieces of 3D software. So let's grab the wood texture here. And you can make adjustments to your normal map, and what I really like about it is you get really fine grain control over your normal map, everything from extra large to extra fine, no problem. So yeah, I do recommend the software. It's great. It's not overly expensive either, and yeah, great piece of software. And if you do use Unreal Engine 4, the new version 4.17 and above, and you want to do bent normal maps, you can do them in this program as well. I'm sure there's other software that you can do bent normals in as well, but and they're a new feature that's been added in Unreal 4.17. But you can certainly do them here. Again, what I really like about this software is I can load up a mesh to actually, the mesh that the texture is meant to go on. Let's just use the seat border as an example, even though it's not meant for this. So you can load your mesh up and make your adjustments to your normal map on the actual mesh on the fly, which is what I really like. And it allows you to export a range of things from the height map, the normal map, derivative, ambient occlusion, concavity, convexity, transmission, curvature, as well as your bent normals. Great piece of software, not overly expensive. If you need to make normal maps from color maps quite a bit, I can recommend it. Let's save that texture now. It's made by a company I think called Eat 3D. But I'm sure if you go to Google and type K-N-A-L-D, the first search it comes up with should be the program. That's very strange. It's imported a skeletal mesh for this bay window. Why has it done that? Let me just jump back into Max here. I want to see why it's done that. Should not have done that. No problem. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to encourage you guys to do 3D, help you if I can. See if it'll let me delete it. May as well delete these now before we start using the asset in case there's a problem. Basically what the engine has done is when it imported that object, for some reason it thinks that there's a bone in there, so it's created a physics object, a skeletal mesh and a physics asset. It shouldn't have done that. I've never seen it do that before. There we go. And there's just one more shader we have to work on, and they're the actual studs and the cushion, which is this one here. Let's import them. Import the texture maps for them, I should say. So we want the ambient occlusion and the normal map. I made the studs like a, as you can see, it's this wood color, it's like a pine. I may change that to a black stud later on. We'll see how we go. We'll see what it looks like when we get it in the actual, in the level here. Pick up the normal and the ambient occlusion. Apply. Just wait for it to save there, and now let's pull in that seat that we've just imported, which is this one here. It's going to be too small, I can tell you that now. Now, again, you see what the problem we're having here with the offset from the actual, the pivot is offset from the object. I don't like that. That's going to make it really hard for me to move. Now, we did do a reset on the X-Spawn, so why Max has decided not to do that, I don't know. I'm going to convert this to an edit poly. I generally like to work in edit poly mode as opposed to edit mesh. And we're just going to make sure our pivot is in the middle again. And it is. Again, we're going to do a reset on the X-Form. Make sure it sticks. I'll do it 3 times. That's good. That shows me that my X-Form is reset, that box. I'm going to collapse my stack. And we're just going to re-export this one more time and see if that fixes our pivot problem. And let's re-import it again. You see, this time we didn't get that warning about the bone, the skeletal mesh. Let's see if our pivot is in the right spot. It looks like it's still not though. It's really strange. I can see my object out the window here. Why is it doing that? I know it's wrong because it's way over here. That's not right. Why? The only other thing I can think of, it may be an option on the import that's reset for some reason. Generally what will happen is when you import an object from your 3D program into Unreal, it works at the 000 world coordinate, and that to me looks like what's happening. It could be happening. It shouldn't be though, because I generally have that option turned off. Just before I do another export though, let me re-import it again and check that. In fact, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just rename this one. Because just doing a re-import, it's going to use the same settings it used the first time we brought it in. I'm going to import it one more time manually. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And again, I'm going to double check this to make sure that it's not importing anything it shouldn't be. This actually looks a bit strange. It shouldn't have a skeletal mesh. Yeah, that's really weird. Just bear with me for a sec, guys. I'm just not sure what it's doing here. In fact, I'm just going to jump back here into Max and do another export and turn off a couple of options. Smoothing group, turbo smooth, triangulate, that's all fine. I'm going to turn off animation. Units is fine. File format 2013 is fine. Even though I have the option here of FBX all the way up to version 2017 or 2018 rather, I still prefer to use 2013 simply because that's the most if I go to 2018 there is some software that you won't be able to import the FBX into if it hasn't been updated, but by sticking to 2013 you're guaranteed that it'll be able to be imported into most 3D programs. Alright, let's re-export it again with animation turned off, see if that makes any difference. Again, I've not run into this problem before, it's very strange. Let's do an import. That's better. You see we don't have the skeletal mesh dialog pop up now, and that's what I wanted. Let's check here. Now I've turned off transform vertex to absolute because I want my pivot position to be in the middle of the object, not at the 0, 0, 0 world coordinate. So I have that deselected. Let's import it again. And let's pull it into the level, and there we go. Now we have it in the right spot. Now I do need to, just checking here to make sure that it's respected all of our shaders that we made. Looks like it has. Let's rotate it around in the right direction. The scale will be too small because we scaled our original building up from the one in Max, so we can either do it by hand or we can see the value we used for the actual building. Let's try that. So my object is too small compared to the size of my building, and that's because I scaled my building up inside of Unreal after I'd exported it from Max here. Where are we? I'm in isolation mode. But we should be able to get this to the right scale by selecting our building